By show of hands, how many of you currently know what is going on between the United States and North Korea? Alright, well today I'll go into more detail on two aspects between these two countries that can lead to potential life or death situation with you guys. First conflict began when... Alright, well today, while most of us have been interested but not know the history between these two countries, it is important that we know the history because we can decide what their potential threat is to us now. Nuclear issues between these two countries have been going in more depth lately, even the past 2 years, because they have been conducting more tests that could potentially threaten our nation. I chose this topic because I have a good ability with local issues and global issues. So this was a big idea for me, but I did a lot of research to go about this topic. Two aspects I'll talk to you today about are the history between the nations and the current issues between them. First, I'll go into the history. The U.S. has been in conflict with North Korea for many years now. After World War II in 1950, the countries began their conflicts when North Korea was divided by the United Nations and and they decided to go with the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was a big enemy of ours in the past, so this added to our tensions between them. According to a 2006 article published by the U.S. Department of State, initial hopes for a unified independent Korea were not realized, and in 1948 two nations were divided between them. The Republic of Korea in the south and the Democratic Republic peoples of the north. So this was yet another reason that we had to side with. We could go with the south or we could go with the north. We decided to go with the south, which added more tension to the North Korean tensions that we had. Unfortunately, conflicts would continue to rise, and as time passed and technology advanced, the United States and North Korea realized what nuclear powers could be adapted and what could potentially be done. Now that I've talked to you about the history between these two countries, I'll talk to you now about the current issues between them. North Korea has been testing nuclear weapons for many years now. In Edward Olson's 2005 article, he states, long-term U.S. and North Korea tensions strengthened since the mid-1990s, when the North Korea effort decided to go with more nuclear weapons while the U.S. decided to diminish their nuclear weapon tests. As time progressed, U.S. realized how big of a threat they could be to our country. So whenever they started conducting these tests, we realized that they could potentially hit our country and destroy our nation. On October 9, 2006, North Korea conducted their first nuclear weapon test. This test was done underground, but it was very successful. Since then, they have conducted many other tests since 2006, but they have been above ground and they have been successful as well, but they're usually over oceans, and nearby countries have been getting physical effects somewhat about it. This doesn't really affect the U.S. in any way, but it does whenever you realize that they're trading these weapons with other countries. Robert Johnson's 2006 article claims North Korea supplied these weapons with Iran and Pakistan. Iran and Pakistan were both countries that we have had we have past poor relations with. So when this happened, we realized that that added to why we didn't want to be with North Korea. Currently, tensions are rising between Trump and Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea. The reason they are rising is because Kim Jong-un's nuclear weapon tests. They're being conducted at an alarming rate while the rest of the world watches. They've been warned many times by nearby countries and the United States to stop this problem, but they are not abiding by these rules. Trump, our president, has been talking about the first stage of war with this country, while it could be a big problem if they do not abide and start listening and not conducting these tests. If tensions continue to rise, one country will be destroyed, or hopefully there will be peace between them in the future. All we can do is have hope in our country's government and let them solve this problem. Now I'll conclude with the two aspects between North Korea and the United States, which are the history and the current issues between them. It is important that we know these current issues and the history, because if we don't know them, we'll not know their motive today of why they are threatening us with nuclear weapons. So today I'd like to let you think about why we should be alarmed about this problem, because it could affect our lives today or tomorrow or in the near future. Thank you.
Okay, Julianna, go ahead, dear.
According to the Second National Sample Survey of Disabled Persons in China, conducted in 2006, China has a population of 5.8 million children living with some sort of disability. Today, I'm going to inform you of 3 adversities mothers of these children might face in China today. Disabilities in this case can range from mental to physical disabilities, including autism or learning disorders, to blindness or impairment of walking. It is important for us to have a better understanding of this topic so we can better approach families of these children and to understand the importance of aid they should receive, whether it be from the community around them, which includes us, or from the government. Motherhood is also important to the basic advancement of society as a whole and should be viewed with a certain respect. Because of my research and because of my particular interest in the subject, I feel qualified enough to share with you all this information today. 3 difficulties mothers with disabled children face in China include soul care provision, community views and stigmas, and disability rights and policies, which include education and social services. First, let's have a look at the soul care provision struggle. Mothers of children with disabilities are usually seen as the sole provider of care for the children and most often for the rest of the family. Furthermore, these mothers are often left by the father or extended family members to care for the child. In a 2014 study conducted by the Journal of Social Science, a case was included about an 8-year-old boy diagnosed with cerebral palsy. The father of the child refused to live with the family, and the mother had to take on the main role of financial and emotional care for the child. In another situation from the same journal, a mother had to visit her son's school to help him walk to the bathroom because students and teachers refused to do so. This example shows how in some cases the sole provision care can extend outside of the home and into schools. Now that I've discussed the sole provision care, I would like to look at social stigmas mothers may face in China. In China, if you are a mother and you have a child with disability, sometimes you are seen as a disgrace or a burden to the family or to the community around you. Surprisingly, this difficulty is often common within extended family members. In one case, a mother recalled in the 2014 study how she was given blame for birthing a child with a disability, and the family believed they were doomed by marriage to the mother. In another case, extended family members laughed at the mother and asked why she couldn't properly bear a child who could walk. Further, mothers also experienced shameful attitudes from the community around them, often from old friends. In the same study, old friends no longer kept in touch with the mother because they believed the mother would burden them with responsibility or even ask for money. These 2 situations can make the mother feel alone and isolated, and can often affect the health of the mother and in turn the health of the child. After looking at social stigmas the mothers may face, we will now look at government policy, which includes education and social service. The Chinese government has made positive strides towards growth, but improvement is still needed. First, school systems still do not provide adequate programs for children with disabilities. According to Chinasource.org, 35% of students with disabilities drop out of school because of lack of adequate programs. Inclusion into mainstream schools is still discouraged, and even if these students are accepted, adequate programming is not provided for them. This in turn doesn't benefit the mother or the student. Secondly, even after primary education, students still may face adversity when applying to colleges. According to Chinasource.org, as of 2016, colleges still have the ability to restrict applicants with disabilities. Furthermore, a physical examination is required to be accepted into college, which is another obstacle students with disabilities must overcome. And finally, children with disabilities still lack adequate social service care. According to UNICEF, 60% of kids with disabilities have not received any social service care. This source also expressed how most children with disabilities live beneath the poverty line, and aid is not being provided there. However, strides are being made with China's ratification of the UN Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities in 2006, according to Human Rights of China. In conclusion, I hope you have a better understanding of some of the difficulties mothers may face. Not all mothers face these, but it is common for mothers to face these, which include sole care provision, social stigmas and community views, and difficulties with disability policy and rights. Hopefully we will be able to see these struggles diminish with greater governmental support and societal change in the view of people with disabilities. Do you all have any